Welcome back to Narrative Network. Imagine walking into a bank, expecting nothing more than a routine transaction, only to be dismissed and disrespected because of your appearance. But here's the twist. The person being judged isn't just any customer. They're about to become the new boss. This is the story of Simone Wright, a confident and hardworking woman who teaches an unforgettable lesson about respect, humility, and the power of second chances. Stay until the end to see how this story unfolds with shocking revelations, heartfelt redemption, and a powerful message that will leave you inspired. If you enjoy stories that highlight transformation and resilience, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's dive into this incredible journey together. The sleek doors of Crestview Community Bank swung open as Simone Wright stepped inside, carrying an air of quiet confidence. She was dressed sharply in a tailored navy suit, her natural curls styled neatly, framing her glowing face. It was her first day in the city after relocating for a career opportunity she had worked tirelessly to earn. Simone's excitement was palpable as she approached the bank's teller counter. Despite her poised demeanor, Simone couldn't help but feel the sting of nerves. She had an important day ahead. One she had worked her entire life to reach. But first, she needed to set up her personal banking details in her new city before moving on to the corporate offices. It seemed simple enough, yet little did she know the encounter she was about to have would be anything but ordinary. The teller, James Carter, a middle-aged man with a crisp shirt and tie, sat behind the counter. His face bore the expression of someone who had long grown weary of his job. When Simone approached, his eyes flicked up briefly, scanning her from head to toe. "Yes?" James asked curtly, without a smile. Simone offered a friendly nod. "Good morning. I'd like to open a new account, please." James leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Do you have an appointment?" Simone raised an eyebrow. "I wasn't aware I needed one. I was told walk-ins were fine." James let out a short sigh, barely concealing his impatience. "We usually require an appointment for something like this. It's not exactly quick, you know." Simone kept her tone polite. "I understand, but I don't mind waiting if someone is available to assist me." James hesitated, then gave her a disapproving look. "Do you even have all the required documents? Proof of income, ID, a minimum deposit amount?" Simone's posture stiffened. The tone in his voice, coupled with his dismissive attitude, felt far more condescending than she had anticipated. Nevertheless, she kept her composure and handed over the folder she had prepared. "Everything is here," she said calmly. James took the folder and rifled through it with little interest. After a cursory glance, he looked back you up, his tone now noticeably colder. "Look, these types of accounts require substantial funds. Are you sure this is the right bank for you?" Simone felt the weight of his implication. She stood silently for a moment, contemplating how to respond. Simone refused to let his patronizing attitude rattle her. Instead, she smiled tightly. "I'm very sure. If there's an issue, perhaps I should speak to your manager." James's eyebrows rose. "My manager?" He chuckled dryly, as though the suggestion were absurd. "I don't think that's necessary. You probably don't need a premium account anyway." At that moment, another teller walked by, giving Simone a small, apologetic glance. It was clear to her that this wasn't the first time James had treated someone poorly. Simone decided to take the high road. "I'll take my documents back, thank you," she said evenly, holding out her hand. James handed the folder back without another word, barely concealing his smirk. As Simone walked away, she could hear him muttering under his breath as she exited the bank. But she didn't let it faze her. Little did James know, the woman he had dismissed so carelessly wasn't just another customer. She was Simone Wright, the newly appointed regional manager for Crestview Community Bank, a position that made her his boss Simone spent the rest of the day preparing for her first official meeting at the bank's headquarters. She was eager to meet her team and learn more about the branches she would be overseeing. Despite her earlier encounter with James, she remained optimistic. Her role as regional manager was a culmination of years of hard work. Simone had risen through the ranks in the financial sector, breaking barriers as a Black woman in a predominantly white, male-dominated industry. She had faced her share of challenges, but had always maintained her dignity and professionalism. When she arrived at the meeting the following morning, she was introduced to the leadership team. To her surprise, the branch manager of the very bank she had visited the day before, Diane Porter, was present. "Welcome, Ms. Wright," Diane said warmly. "It's a pleasure to have you on board. If there's anything you need, please let me know." Simone smiled. "Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you and your team." Diane hesitated for a moment before adding, "I heard you stopped by the branch yesterday. I hope everything went smoothly." Simone paused briefly, then chose her words carefully. "Let's just say it was enlightening. I'd like to visit the branch again soon to meet everyone formally." Diane nodded, sensing there was more to the story, but deciding not to press. Simone made her way back to the branch later that week, ready to introduce herself to the staff. She entered the lobby with the same grace and confidence as before, though this time her presence carried an undeniable authority. James, sitting at his usual spot behind the counter, glanced up and froze. His smirk from days before disappeared as recognition dawned. Simone approached the counter with a professional smile. "Good morning, Mr. Carter." James stammered, "Good morning." Diane, who had been waiting for Simone's arrival, quickly stepped forward. "Everyone, I'd like to formally introduce Ms. Simone Wright, our new regional manager. She'll be overseeing all the branches in our district." The room fell silent. James's face turned pale as he realized who Simone was. Simone addressed the staff, her voice steady and confident. "It's a pleasure to meet all of you. I'm here to support your success and help our branches thrive. Together, we can achieve great things." Her gaze briefly met James's, and she added, "I believe in treating every customer and every team member with respect and professionalism. That's how we build trust and loyalty." James shifted uncomfortably in his seat, avoiding her eyes. After the introductions, Simone asked to meet with Diane and James privately. As they entered the office, James looked visibly nervous. Simone maintained her composed demeanor. "Mr. Carter," Simone began, "I'd like to discuss our interaction earlier this week." James opened his mouth to speak but faltered. "I came to this branch as a customer," Simone continued. "The treatment I received from you was dismissive and unprofessional. Is this how you typically engage with customers?" James swallowed hard. I didn't realize who you were." Simone's expression didn't waver. "And if I weren't the regional manager, would that have justified your behavior?" James was silent, his face flushed with embarrassment. Diane stepped in, her tone firm but fair. "James, this is unacceptable. Every customer deserves respect, regardless of their appearance or background. This is not the standard we uphold at Crestview." Simone nodded. "I believe in second chances, Mr. Carter, but only if there's accountability. I'll leave it to Diane to determine the appropriate course of action, but I expect significant improvement going forward." James nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "Understood, ma'am." Over the following weeks, Simone's presence at the branch became a catalyst for change. She implemented training programs on customer service and implicit bias, ensuring that every staff member understood the importance of treating all customers with dignity. James, humbled by the experience, made a conscious effort to change his attitude. He worked harder, treating every customer with the respect they deserved, regardless of their appearance or perceived status. Simone watched his progress from a distance, quietly impressed by his willingness to grow. Months later, the branch received a glowing review from a customer who praised James for his kindness and attentiveness. Diane shared the feedback with Simone, who decided it was time to acknowledge the progress. Simone called James into her office. "Mr. Carter, I wanted to personally commend you for the positive changes you've made. It's not easy to reflect on one's behavior and strive to improve, but you've done so admirably." James looked genuinely grateful. "Thank you, Ms. Wright. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate the opportunity to do better." Simone smiled. "Growth is what matters most. Keep up the good work." Simone's leadership didn't just impact the branch where James worked, it rippled across all the branches she managed. Her vision for Crestview Community Bank went beyond numbers. It was about creating an inclusive culture that valued every customer and employee. Through her efforts, the bank implemented regular training sessions, workshops, ramp-ups on cultural awareness, and mentorship programs to ensure that all employees felt empowered to grow both personally and professionally. The changes weren't just internal. Customers began to notice the shift too. Many who had felt overlooked or dismissed in the past now found themselves greeted with warm smiles and genuine care. Simone's approach created a loyal customer base, and the bank's reputation in the community soared. For James Carter, the journey of self-reflection was ongoing. He often thought back to his initial interaction with Simone and how blind he had been to his own biases. That single encounter had become a turning point in his life, pushing him to reevaluate not just how he treated customers, but also how he viewed people as a whole. James took the lessons he had learned and applied them to every aspect of his life. He started volunteering at a local community center, mentoring young people and sharing his story to help them understand the importance of treating others with respect. Through these efforts, he found a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. One day, James approached Simone in her office, holding a small envelope. "Ms. Wright," he began, "I just wanted to thank you again for giving me a second chance. I don't take it for granted." Simone opened the envelope and found a handwritten letter. In it, James expressed his gratitude for her leadership and the profound impact she had on his life. "You didn't have to give me a second chance," he wrote, "but because you did, I'm a better person today. I'll never forget it." Simone smiled warmly. "Thank you, James. Change isn't easy, but you've proven that it's possible. I'm proud of the progress you've made." Simone's efforts didn't go unnoticed by the broader community. She was soon invited to speak at local events, sharing her insights on leadership, resilience, and creating inclusive environments. Her story of turning a moment of discrimination into an opportunity for growth resonated deeply with audiences, inspiring others to reflect on their own actions and biases. At one event, a young woman approached Simone after her speech. "Miss Wright," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "your story gives me hope. I've faced similar challenges, and seeing how you handled them reminds me that I can rise above too." Simone placed a reassuring hand on the woman's shoulder. "You absolutely can. Never let anyone's opinion define your worth. You have the power to create change, starting with yourself." As time passed, James's dedication to personal growth earned him a promotion. He was now a senior teller and a mentor to newer employees. His transformation became a source of inspiration for others at the branch, showing that it was never too late to change and improve. At the end of a particularly busy day, James addressed his colleagues during a staff meeting. "I want to thank Ms. Wright and all of you for believing in me," he said. "I've learned that respect and kindness are the foundations of everything we do here. Let's continue to make this branch a place where everyone feels valued." Simone, standing in the back of the room, couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. James's journey reminded her why she had chosen this career in the first place: to empower others and create a culture of respect. 1 year after Simone's arrival, the bank held an appreciation event to celebrate the progress the branch had made under her leadership. Employees, customers, and community members gathered to reflect on the journey and the positive changes they had witnessed. During the event, Diane Porter, the branch manager, took the stage to speak. When Ms. Wright joined us, she brought more than just her expertise. She brought a vision of what this bank could be. A place where people are treated with dignity, where employees thrive, and where the community feels supported. Thanks to her leadership, we've become that place. Simone was invited to speak next. She stepped up to the microphone, her heart full as she looked out at the crowd. "When I first walked into this branch, I came as a customer," she began. "What I encountered was a challenge, a moment that tested my patience and my values. But challenges are opportunities in disguise. They push us to grow, to reflect, and to build something better." She paused, letting her words sink in. "What we've built together isn't just a better branch, it's a better community. And I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. Let's continue to lead with kindness, respect, and the belief that everyone deserves to be valued." The room erupted into applause, and Simone felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had not only transformed a branch, but had also created a legacy of inclusivity and respect that would endure long after her time there. As Simone's reputation grew, her leadership philosophy began to influence other branches and businesses. Her ability to turn a single negative experience into a powerful movement for growth became a template for creating inclusive workplaces. Bank employees across the region underwent training inspired by Simone's programs, and customer satisfaction ratings soared. The positive changes weren't just limited to the bank. The surrounding community also took notice of the improved atmosphere and the bank's commitment to inclusivity. Small business owners, inspired by Simone's work, began adopting similar principles, transforming the neighborhood into a hub of collaboration and respect. Simone continued to lead with grace, using her platform to mentor young professionals, especially women and people of color, who faced challenges in their careers. Her impact was felt far and wide, but she remained grounded, always remembering her roots and the moment that had sparked it all. Years later, at a regional leadership summit hosted by the bank, Simone crossed paths with an unexpected attendee, James Carter. Now retired, James had been invited as a guest speaker to share his journey and the lessons he had learned. As he stood on stage, James addressed the audience with humility. "I once made the mistake of judging someone before truly seeing them. That person turned out to be Ms. Wright, the very leader who transformed not just my workplace, but my entire outlook on life." He paused, his voice steady with emotion. "Her ability to lead with kindness, even in the face of disrespect, taught me the power of humility and growth. I'm proud to have been part of the journey that started here, and I'm grateful for the second chance I was given." Simone watched from the audience, her heart full of pride. When James stepped down, she approached him with a warm smile. "You've come a long way, Mr. Carter," she said. "So have I, thanks to you," James replied. "You turned a moment of conflict into a lifetime of lessons." Simone's influence extended beyond her immediate sphere. She established the Wright Leadership Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering inclusive workplaces and mentoring young leaders. The foundation provided scholarships, hosted workshops, and created opportunities for individuals from underserved communities to pursue careers in business and finance. James became one of the foundation's advisors, using his experience to mentor others. Together, he and Simone worked to create programs that encouraged self-reflection, accountability, and personal growth. At one of the foundation's events, a young woman approached Simone with tears in her eyes. "Ms. Wright, your story gave me the courage to confront discrimination at my workplace. Because of you, I stood up for myself and earned the respect I deserve." Simone smiled warmly, placing a hand on the woman's shoulder. "Your courage is your power. Always remember that your voice matters." Simone's career continued to flourish, But her true pride lay in the lives she had touched and the change she had inspired. The Crestview Community Bank became a national example of how leadership could transform not just a workplace, but an entire community. Years later, Simone was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award for her contributions to diversity and leadership. In her acceptance speech, she reflected on the moment that had set her journey into motion. What started as a small moment of adversity became an opportunity for growth, not just for me, but for everyone involved, Simone said. It's a reminder that every challenge we face is a chance to create change. The impact we leave behind is the true measure of our success. As she left the stage, Simone felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Her journey had come full circle, but the ripples of her work would continue to spread far and wide. Simone's name became synonymous with transformational leadership, and her work inspired countless others to follow in her footsteps. The lessons she imparted, to lead with respect, to embrace challenges, and to empower others, became guiding principles for the next generation of leaders. As Simone walked through the bustling streets of her community one evening, she passed by the very bank where her journey had begun. She paused, smiling as she watched customers entering and exiting with ease, greeted warmly by the staff. It was a simple scene, but it represented everything Simone had worked for. A world where everyone, regardless of their background, was treated with dignity and respect. And in that moment, she knew her work had only just begun. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more incredible content like this. Share this video with your friends and family to spread the message of respect, resilience, and transformation. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below and we'll see you in the next video.